Welcome to On the Chain. This is Jeff here with co-host Chip. What is going on, Chip? What's going on, everybody out there in the On the Chain community? Great to see you. YouTube, X, and Rumble tonight. We are streaming over on Rumble, so go check that out too. All of a sudden, YouTube views go. What is going on? I'll tell you what. XRPL needs interoperability to succeed. Let's underscore that interoperability is going to be king in the next go around here. And here's a big question for everybody out there, and we got to maybe workshop this a little bit. Is Dogecoin better than XRP?
I think we're going to find out. Let's go.
Welcome to On the Chain.
Hello, everybody. Drop where you're coming in from. I can't wait to see all of our friends over there on Rumble. So far right now, we've got people joining on X and on YouTube. So keep it going, everybody. I do not see... Nope, I do not see our one viewer. Nope, I do not see one viewer on Twitch. That's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there all together.
Give a quick shout out where you guys are tuning in from also as you walk in the front door.
As you come in, yeah. Say hello to everybody. Take your shoes off and remember to tip your bartenders. Tip your bartenders. Order some drinks. We're on a mission. Let's do this.
2 drink minimum.
2 drink minimum over here. There you go. Scapapoose. Is that what it is? Scapapoose.
Is that a real thing?
I don't know, Jeff. Sounds interesting though. I like the Scapapoose. I'm probably not pronouncing it right though. Hey. Mike is here. What's up, Mike?
What's up, Mike?
Sophie is always here on time. Sophie will let us know when it's 10 minutes before.
Last the entire hour. You can leave at 9 o'clock.
Try to last the full hour. Well, yesterday you would have left. It was an hour and 45 minutes. Sophie, I'm not sure if you're aware of that. When you left, we did it almost another hour. So it's just rare moment we did. We just had so much to unpack. We had to do it. But Jeff, you bring up an interesting topic because, let's start with this right here. So the digital asset investor, well known as DAI, he put out this here. Ooh, Vega Baja. What's this say? Vega Baja.
Vega Baja.
Puerto Rico. Beautiful. We have now seen Brad Garlinghouse say multiple times that Dogecoin is crap, no utility. Now, I don't ever think we've heard Brad Garlinghouse say Dogecoin is crap. Does anybody remember that? I don't ever see him. I've heard him say that 99% of crypto tokens will go away and it'll be the utility ones. But has he ever mentioned one by name? Like, can you imagine Brad Garlinghouse going on CNBC, which we have that interview? It's like, so tell us about this and that, and tell us about a coin that's crap. A Dogecoin is crap.
Dogecoin is crap. No, I don't think so. I don't know. I have not heard it.
Yeah, so the U.S. government's going after Tether. I have heard him say that. I have heard him talk about Tether. The U.S. government going after Tether because it's not regulated. The XRP ETF is inevitable, the only digital asset with legal clarity. Well, it's not the only asset with legal clarity. I mean, basically, Bitcoin has legal clarity. So it's not the only asset. It's one of the few assets, I would say. But an ETF inevitable? Sure. When? 2025, 2026? I mean, we'll probably see Solana next as an ETF just because of all the on-chain activity. The adult room is trying to tell the children in a nice way as possible that it has been for years, no utility or regulation, and you're out. For me, this has always been the defining difference between the XRP community and the down with the banks cartoon monkey crowd.
What is that exactly? What is the down with the banks cartoon monkey crowd?
I thought the down with the banks monkey crowd was his crowd. Isn't that his crowd?
I thought so.
Is he calling his crowd the down with the banks cartoon monkey crowd? What the hell, dude? I can't. What?
Is this a direct statement from Garlinghouse right here? It looks like it's a direct quote.
No, this is him. Well, this is him talking now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the next one is the quote is the government's. Oh, there we go. Been a nice separation of the paragraph.
So who said? So Garlinghouse said down with the banks cartoon monkey crowd.
I don't think he did. No, I think his quote is the last quote, right? But I don't think he referenced that. So that's coming from DAI. Saying that.
You're missing a paragraph, a break here. Like, so governments are going to bring out their tanks before they give up their control, their money supply.
That I agree. Yeah, 100%. That's the one part that people miss, and that's also why there's not going to be a buyback of XRP. there's going to be sovereign control over the currency. They're not going to allow that, a decentralized mechanism to somehow have full control and autonomy over, the change of the rules. I mean, think about, right now, if the change, let's say the government has a buyback, but then you still have the validators over there, so if you take away the validators and the process that maintains the ledger, does that influence XRP and all of that? It's going to have an influence over it, right? So that means that if there's a buyback of XRP, that means that the U.S. government would then have to take full control over the ledger. And then if they take full control over the ledger, then it's centralized.
Yeah, but it's not going to be that.
And
Charles is tuning in from Pittsburgh, PA. That's funny. I didn't know Ryan from King Solomon lives in Pittsburgh. I chatted with him on X today. He had said he was having a burger for breakfast, and it looked like one of the best burgers I've ever seen. And then I said I could love me a Permane Brothers. Permane Brothers is like the greatest restaurant ever. There's one down here on Sunrise. But yeah, Permane's. How about Charles? Tune in about Permane's, brother. He gave me the secret cheat code for that.
Permane Brothers. Now we have Permane Brothers down here.
Yeah, in Sunrise there.
But I'm sure it's different.
It's not the same though. For something about the one that I used to like years ago, they used to be out on the beach. Then they moved it up to like Sunrise. Like it's still closer to 95 over there, but
it's still on the beach.
Is it still on the beach? They have that one down there? I thought they got rid of that one. Okay.
24 hours. That's the 24-hour pizza place just south of Sunrise over on Ocean. It's
at the warehouse district in the Berg. They have that. This is pretty good. So this is interesting. So Alchemist is saying, probably get in trouble for this. I don't think he will. Dogecoin is garbage. Now he might have said that. Now let's see. Can we find that quote, Jeff? Can you search for Dogecoin is garbage?
I
don't recall him ever saying stuff about that. But that's interesting. You have that recollection. But let's see. Yeah. I mean, how would you get in trouble for it? If he said it, he said it, right? There's nothing you can't if he said it. We're just trying to break down what DAI is talking about here, just because trying to make it make some sense. And that's true. Brad has talked a lot about that. He's also talked, he's said things here and there. So then we had Daniel.
Here's the real quote.
What do you got there? Put the quote up there. You have it?
Trying to find. Here we go. Hang on a second. Here's one of them, anyways. I won't say this is the real one. This is one quote that he potentially said. Let me see when this is from, though. Hang on, before we put it up, find out it's like. This is looks like it's a recent article. Here we go.
Well, maybe that's
doesn't get any more recent than this.
We haven't been really paying attention that much. So what do you got?
We get all the ads today too. Thank you. To all the pulled this up on Chrome. So we get to benefit from handbags and all sorts of other stuff. We have to be more than speculation. Ripple CEO questions whether Dogecoin has been good for crypto. Now, I would say that that's the same with a lot of the digital assets. XRP has to be more than speculation. There's an entire community and crowd that thinks we need to focus on speculation. So here, Ripple Chief Executive Brad Garlinghouse doesn't think that leading meme coin token Doge helps crypto. While speaking at consensus, Brad Garlinghouse laments that the U.S. represents the bottom decile of regulatory clarity for digital assets and knowledge, and acknowledges that it's difficult to predict when institutional money will provide upside opportunity for the crypto sector. The Ripple CEO says the path forward for crypto has to be centered on solving real problems. How many times have we said that? We need to have actual real problems, and it can't be something looking for real problems. But there is a speculative class out there, and people enjoy it. Now, the one thing I think that he's missing out on, even like with a Bitcoin, for instance, it was raised to a level, based on speculation. But it's also, Bitcoin is now accepted globally as a valued asset, and people have assessed what that value is, what they're willing to buy and sell it for. But his quote here: we have to be about more than speculation. I get a ton of shit when I say these things, but I'm going to say it anyway. I don't think Dogecoin has been a good thing for the industry, and I'm not anti-Dogecoin, but I don't know what the use case is. I don't know if there are projects being built to solve real utility. And I see lots of real utility across lots of different chains. And I think that is what's critical. Obviously, Doge, as of today's trading, just under 16 cents, around 15 cents when I looked earlier today. That was me saying that. That's not written there. It was 15. It was 1.59 as of the time they wrote this. And I was on a little bit earlier and it was like, 15.
Jeff, Alchemist said he's waiting. He said Doge was the only utility, was waiting for some billionaire to tweet about it. Would that be Elon Musk?
That's a possibility. Yeah, that's not in this article, but this was from yesterday. This was June 1st. So that's interesting. So that's very
interesting. But the thing about what's odd about that is Brad Garlinghouse, is he unaware of the Flare project? I mean, he seems to be totally unaware of the Flare. So Daniel Keller, Daniel's the CEO of Casino Coin, which is probably one of the most successful projects on the XRPL, aside from, let's say, X-Vector, probably two of the biggest and most successful projects outside of Ripple. And he said, shitting on Doge with allegedly no utility while it's outperforming the token with all the utility by every single metric is one of the weakest hot takes ever made. Brad knows this. Well, at least he should. It makes me question if high-class CEOs understand the field in which they are operating in. Whoa, that's a shot right there. He just landed a left hook. Boom. But he's bringing the receipts. He's bringing some facts to this. And I mean, quite honestly, I'm like, Flare's been talking about this for 3 years now, at least 3+ years. Crypto Eddie also got in on the action as well. She said, it needs to be said that Dogecoin will have incredible utility with Flare networks, F assets, as much as XRP in this use case, 100%. And, Daniel talking about the fact that it has, while Doge allegedly has no utility, it's outperforming the token with all the utility by every single metric.
Mm-hmm.
He's right about that. I mean, so why? I don't know. How does he not know about Flare? I mean,
you would think you would know about Flare. Flare has been, it's developing. Flare is the one project that is bringing interoperability to the space. I don't like how DAI just attributes what Garlinghouse is saying and saying that it's crap. He said he's not anti-Doge. Doge really, at the end of the day, it was kind of joke asset when it was first created. Then it started to get some traction at some point about 2 years ago. And that's the whole rise of the meme asset. And what Flare did was very interesting, where they decided that it would be one of the assets that was going to be utilized within the Flare network. Now all of a sudden that asset has utility, and it's kind of smart, because it has global recognition. Oh, yeah. Lots and lots of people have held and do hold Doge. People have attributed a specific value to it, which is now sitting at like 15, 16 cents, and here's Flare, here's a full introduction, so Flare is the blockchain for data, and they're using EVM. They're creating interoperability. They're solving a real problem. They're doing something over there that you don't see a lot happening within different spaces, where, again, they're trying to create this interoperability within the smart contract space, which is going to be critical to success and further development. You have to be able to make it. Now, you can make an argument that there's a space for siloed projects, and I'm not going to disagree with that. I think Apple is a perfect example of a siloed company if you compare it to Microsoft, that kind of just opened up, to the broader audience. You have a lot of projects, let's call them, that have utilized Microsoft for equipment, whether it's medical or engineering equipment, and they're not using Apple. And then you have people that you have the operating system is easily available for all sorts of hardware machines, whereas Apple is extremely siloed and created its own community. So you can make that argument that in the crypto space, you can still have a very siloed project. But for movement of money and smart contracts in business, you have to get away from silo. You have to allow interoperability. You have to allow communication.
No, man.
Now,
All right.
imagine you
stop.
take your siloed
Wait.
Apple
Let's stop you
project,
right here.
and you can
Let's just stop you right
create
here
the
on this, okay?
interoperability, which
This is a
we've
poor
created
analogy.
interoperability.
It's a very poor analogy, Jeff. It's a very poor analogy for a number of reasons. No, it's a
great
very
example.
poor analogy.
Apple is a siloed project.
It's not a siloed project. It's a
very siloed project.
It's not. They make their own hardware. They make their own chips. They used to use other chips. Used to use Intel, but they make chips that blow those chips away. So I mean, they got their
very siloed. They do everything.
Right, but there's a reason
they created the whole up and down.
Hang on a second. I gave you a second. Give me a second to talk. Back in 1997, they hired Gil Amelio, who was a effing disaster for the company. He almost sunk Apple. Before Steve Jobs Before Steve Jobs came back, I also had it was called a Power Mac, and it was a third party that made it. And then they opened up. He's like, we got to be more like Microsoft. What we have to do is we got to open it up. We got to let other people make it. Well, they made a crappy machine. Out of all the Macs I've ever owned, that was the disaster machine that I owned. Okay, because it wasn't being, it didn't have the high standards that Apple had. And yeah, it's centralized, but you can't compare it to the crypto world. Because I mean, they make their own browser, but you can put any browser on there, and you can run all the software. The software that runs on there, Apple runs very few software. I run, Final Cut Pro. I run, the music. I forget what the music one's called right now, but those are the two things that I run. That Apple only makes 2 software programs. Everything else is Adobe, and you name anything else. So the high standard.
That's how you build on top of it.
Right, you build on top of it with software, but again, their chips are they're geared towards a certain industry, and this is where their chips became more powerful and better. Their silicon chip is phenomenal, and the machines, I mean, run beautifully. There's almost zero heat coming off these days, so they're good stuff. Yeah, unfortunately, that's sad, but anyway, Apple is superior. So Charles said XRP community is the WWE, great people for the most part. He said Brad is Bob Buckland, David is Hulk, and influencers are Roddy Piper. So, and then Alchemist said, crypto is a 24/7, 365-day drama. It is. The AI is a goofball, no matter what the issue. So it's just it's pretty funny. Flare Apex says Flare started intentionally by target chains that did not have smart contract capability, and it makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. I mean, this is exactly right. And also they targeted a very involved community, which is the XRP community. And still, I love getting the drops every month. I mean, I can't say that I don't enjoy it.
And here you go from Crypto Eddie. Garlinghouse calling out Doge was a mistake on so many levels. Calling out any token is unprofessional and not good for the ecosystem. Disappointed.
Yeah, I agree. That's why I said, like, why the hell would you? I almost didn't even believe it. Because it seems like such a really rookie move to call something out. You never, even if you have competition. And then, of course, when I saw what Daniel's thing was, he's like, look, it's outperforming in every single metric. Like, why would you set yourself up for something like that in a big fall? It doesn't make any sense. Here's John Doe says, here's my opinion. DAI is someone who doesn't have to work. For example, family business, family money, anyone who can devote the time to create as many videos with appearances at all major events. Yeah, I don't fault anybody for that. Listen, I mean, all the power to you if you can do it, but just don't, I mean, just let's try to get some of it, right some of the time. I mean, everyone has an opinion. We have our opinion. People like it or they don't, I mean, I see Alchemist shows up here regularly, and a lot of times he doesn't agree with us, and that's cool. You need somebody that's going to have, we don't have to all think the same. We have to have our own opinions, right?
Even if Alchemist likes
Alchemist and I are getting to be good buddies over here. It is quality. And it does cost, Jeff.
I'm not disputing it's not quality. I never disputed it wasn't quality.
It does cost a lot of money, but that's interesting. So I saw this one. Here's on that same post of the AIs. This is XRPL Adam. He's one of the founders of XRP.cafe, and he said that Doge has nearly the same market cap as XRP. So what does this say about XRP, or what gives something value? Maybe we need to look at our own ecosystem first and figure out how we can get our own house in order for greater value. And that's a good way to look at it. And like, instead of like throwing bombs, like, what can we do? And somebody the other day, Crypto tweeted out about it's all about the builder. She pulled a clip, and again, I said, and then somebody came in there and started arguing like, No, if you're hodling since 2017, it's all about, it's either banks or bust. I'm like, no. Did any chain bank on one thing happen? Does anybody care that Solana goes down on average every other month? Nobody cares. Do you think PayPal cared when they minted their new they moved it right from an ERC20 on the Ethereum blockchain over to Solana? Why didn't they move it to the XRPL? I don't know. I mean, but the fact of the matter is that's where the building's going on, and
that's where they want to be.
Joe Buddy says, side note here, Trump for Route Rushmore 2028. So there you go, right there. Apple is quality. There you go. Legendary is saying it as well. There you have it.
But here you go to your point. You look into that statement. XRP sits at number 8. Granted, this is just market cap. Doge is, number 9 market cap. It's creeping up on the valuation here. Why isn't, XRP moving? Why isn't there more adoption? Why isn't there more utility? Why isn't there more development, with the XRPL when you have an actual chain that can build projects? XRP shouldn't be hovering at the lower ends. It should be up here, 1, 2, and 3. That's where it should be. And whether it's going to be on a global level, and again, we focus in on the lawsuit. Maybe the lawsuit had such a major impact on others, but there's still the whole. I think throughout the whole lawsuit, though, we've been talking about projects that are building on the XRPL, so that almost negates the whole statement. And then that means that Ripple, setting aside money, could have invested in the ecosystem.
Well, Jeff, let's get back to what they could have invested. Okay, what they promised the ecosystem was a billion XRP, right? That's what they said. Their statement, they made it, and they've given 3% of that out in like 3 years. And all they're doing is turning down projects left and right that are really good people, not only but well known in the space. Look at Panos' project. I mean, there's a lot of well-known projects. I'm glad that some of these ones are getting some attention that deserves. The guys from Korea. Moai Finance, they just got a grant, but is the grant enough? Those guys got a brilliant thing going. I mean, they should be give them $1 million, give them $2 million, give them something that they can get a little bit of runway. These grants are even piddly. It's like you can't even hire a dev for 3 months with some of these grants. I mean, what do you think you're really doing? I understand a grant is very different in the sense that it doesn't have to be paid back when you have angel investors. It all depends on how your shares are vested. It depends on, there's a lot of things that go into it. But once you start getting the VC money, they're sharks, right? They're going to come in. They want to make sure they're not going to get divested. They want to make sure that they're going to get a big chunk of it. And a lot of times they have a lot of influence and say, and they can sometimes hurt projects. They want to, oh, I see what you're doing here, doing this. Like, no, we're not doing this over there. I went through that with a startup where I must have talked to like almost close to 100 different people, angels, mostly VCs. They wanted to change almost everything about it. And I'm like, well, how do you make this work at some point, right? I get some influence and ideas, but if you want to change the project, and every time you see a private equity company come in and take over a company, I've been part of these PE deals with the places that I've worked with, and first thing to do is you want to come in and change everything, delete these people, get rid of these people, bring their own people in, and sometimes it hurts the company tremendously. Sometimes they'll turn it around, but a lot of times they don't. So it's a very interesting sort of a sentiment here. I just think that I'm looking through some of these comments. Oh my God.
Look at this right here. I just want to, just mention this quote here. And it's interesting because it's kind of across the board with the crypto space at large. Alex the Great is saying, my dad got me some XRP and a wallet. He told me to hold. And by the time I finish high school, I might be driving a Lambo. Don't know what year you are.
Right? Did you just graduate?
Yeah.
So you're out of college.
Just
you're
graduate.
Working, right?
Is that
Alex, where are you right now? I mean, let us know where you are. In
life.
Where
are you in the series of life?
You'll be driving a Lambo, but it'll be a remote controlled one from your bedroom.
No, but but the point, the whole market is still relatively in its infancy. We're seeing a lot of projects that are growing. I've always, I've always looked at kind of the longer game, and I think that's what you and I both focus on, is that it's not a short run game, right? It's like this whole thing is developing. We're finding a little bit of traction in the space. We're gaining some recognition from an institutional perspective. You're getting real VC money starting to come into blockchain. Now is where we make the transition point. But when we make that transition point, the market's going to make a determination of which are going to be successful and which aren't. We look back, through the .com era, and there might have been some amazing .com projects that were out there that just disappeared. I don't know. But there were some that were super successful, and there were a whole bunch of them that were solutions in search of problems, and they went away. They just disappeared. And some of it was perseverance, where people told them they couldn't do it and they wouldn't be successful, like Amazon. I think, that one rose obviously to dominance. Look at what they own and what they do now, starting from selling used books online. And they said he wouldn't be successful.
Major pivot.
Starting there. What's that?
So that's one hell of a pivot. Charles is saying here that Shiba Inu is building a monster ecosystem. They get the same slap in the face, meme coin, garbage, the Doge gets. It's a top 10 project on Ethereum network, and people are like, high gas fees, blah, blah, blah. Miguel Castillo says, why are you guys hating on Garlinghouse? He's an insider. If anybody knows what's coming, he's the one who knows. Due to regulations coming, he's just giving a warning to the community, give him some slack. I don't think we're hating on him. I think we're just basically calling out a true fact is that he's very well aware of Flare. It's not a good look for any CEO to sort of like downplay another project. And, it doesn't make any sense. Why would he come out against Bitcoin? Like Bitcoin's this and that. You wouldn't do that. You want the ecosystem. You have your own project. You want everything to succeed. But in this case, he's not, it's a false statement. Doge, it will, it does have utility coming.
But as it stands right now, and he didn't really say anything negative against it. All he said was he doesn't think it's been good for the industry, the whole meme space, and then he's saying that projects being built to solve real utility. He doesn't know what the use case is. But again, think about his focus. His focus is building Ripple, and that's it. Does he really do his due diligence and research across the spectrum of all the different projects out there? He sees all, kind of the gimmickry of what Doge was, and kind of the play that Elon Musk had with Doge. Other than that, it's just a speculative asset. And somebody obviously asked him a question specific about Doge, because otherwise he wouldn't have just brought it up randomly. So we don't see the question that somebody asked him to have that statement. So there must have been a preface, something that was leading up to this.
Yeah, it might have been, but I'm just like, but yeah.
Why would he just come out? We have to be more about speculation. I get a ton of shit when I say these things, but I'm going to say it anyways. I don't think Dogecoin has been good for the industry. Why would he come out and say that unless someone asked the question? But then he said, I'm not anti, and it was specific to meme coins. Someone probably asked, what are your thoughts about Dogecoin and other meme coins? How has that impacted the industry? That would be a perfect lead up to that type of a question or an answer.
Well, we have that interview, Jeff. I purposely didn't watch it because I wanted to watch it here, the CNBC one that they did over at Consensus. So Scotty and Mometa,
watch that, yeah.
Mometa Media saying, it's great to support the projects using the XRP cross chain and supporting XRPL infrastructure. Agreed, 100%. It is, it's very true. And so, especially when you think about a project like Flare, I think what Flare is building, Flare is going to shock and awe a lot of people. I really, really do. I just really think this is a really solid team. I think Hugo's really got they've taken their time to do it right. They've really thought through it. I don't know. I'm very, very bullish on them. I'd like to see them just blow it up. I think they could become massively successful. Maybe even eclipse XRP. You're in 8th grade. Okay, Alex, great.
8th grade, listening to On the Chain. It's perfect.
That's fantastic.
Starting point. Start absorbing some of the.
Alchemist said better to pass it on to your son too. He might get the Lambo. So don't worry about it. You got time, man. If you're in 8th grade, that's great. So
the space is developing now.
You're going into 8th grade because school's ending, right? So school ends.
It's in 8th grade.
The country
it's like June. 4 more years. 4 more years. Every year is.
That's good of your dad though to do that though. What a cool dad.
It's amazing.
What a cool dad that is.
Yeah, I love it. To give you a little bit of foresight into the blockchain space, have a wallet, you have asset, you have interest, you're watching it, you're watching, obviously watching our podcast, and you're probably watching a lot of other podcasts in the space. Keep learning. Look at all the different projects. Start focusing in on what you can do with blockchain, especially if you're learning some type of coding or researching, through AI, and looking at what kind of, even look at the NFTs, but look at the full development of what could happen within blockchain. You're so young right now, but seeing what's going to happen through high school, you can come out of high school so much further ahead than many of the other kids when it comes to investment, coding, development, just a complete understanding of it. So if you decide you're going to go to college, having a complete direction of where you're going to figure out how this all factors into what you do in the future. That's pretty amazing. Really great.
Very lucky right there. That's awesome. So this is a good comment here from Justin. He says, I believe in XRPL long term, but if Judge Torres gives a positive ruling, the value doesn't start rising within weeks or a month max, I think we've been lied to. I will question the investment. I think what's been really odd for me is how quiet Ripple has been. We're working with this project. It almost seems like when maybe about a month and a half or so, when we heard from David Schwartz, where he kind of said in a certain way that they kind of are not necessarily abandoning, but they're looking more to tokenization. They were kind of looking outside. They didn't say they failed. It just felt like they kind of puttered out a little bit, or petered out, how you would say that. We got Robert saying the Chainlink was center stage this year at Consensus. I think I mentioned it before, but Link's going to be bigger than any other crypto. Yeah, it certainly has the potential to do that. And that's the thing, there's a lot of great potential projects coming out there. Jim D, detention. That's okay. You came in a little bit late. It's all right. Come on now. Caroline, what's going on, Caroline? How are you? She's bullish on Flare. I think so too. I think Flare is going to, again, I really think a lot about that. I think Flare is going to be a very good one. Why don't we have, let's hear one more. Even DAI and Brad Kimes are showing clips of Chainlink on their channel. So there you go. Let's go ahead, and we haven't shown any clips on our channel, Jeff, but we are going to show a clip of Brad Garlinghouse, an interview on CNBC that was done at Consensus.
Man, look at this.
Who is your dad, by the way? Do we know your dad? Is your dad in the space? Because your dad's giving you some really phenomenal advice.
Coins that have a purpose. I like that.
Do we know him? Do we know who he is on? Is he on X, awesome. Twitter, formerly Twitter? Is he on there? Because I'd like to know. Maybe we know him. I don't know. But that's fantastic. That's your dad is giving you some really good advice. How cool is that? Yeah, that is true too. Yeah, it's good stuff. I love this. Love to see that. Let's listen in on this. Maybe we'll stop it from time to time. But I purposely have not watched this because I thought we'd do it live on the show. He works for a bank. Oh, there you go. Nice.
That's really.
Well, maybe he's
Alex, that is Satoshi.
He's Satoshi. So
there you go. That's how you got to start early.
He recognized that, utility is going to be big. So there you go.
You're not young. That's great.
All right, let's go ahead and listen to this. Let's listen into this. And again, I haven't watched this. Sometimes we will pre-watch them. Sometimes we like to do it live so we have a real reaction to what's being said. But this was, I don't even know how long this is, but let's listen in at this. Jamie Dimon. He works at a bank. Oh, you mean that bank? Okay.
Yeah, that bank. Oh, that.
You gotta love this. You gotta love the OTC family. They come in with some funny stuff. I love you guys. You guys make us. You guys make this show phenomenal.
On day one of the conference, you announced that you're investing another $25 million into Fairshake. This is a pro-crypto pack, and it's also on top of the $25 million that you gave them last year. Walk me through how you chose Fairshake and how this investment helps build towards your larger thesis.
Look, it's incredibly important that the U.S. is competitive when it comes to the policy and regulatory environment in all things crypto. That's not where we have been, unfortunately. We've really had a pretty hostile regulatory environment in lots and lots of ways. And instead of doing the work to provide clarity and clear rules of the road, we've actually, I think in some ways, the SEC under Gensler has sowed confusion by filing lawsuits that sometimes even contradict each other. So for me, like supporting Fairshake even more and even signaling that we're going to continue to do this, it's really about getting people elected who are pro-crypto, pro-innovation, but also.
Okay, so what you need to do next, Brad Garlinghouse, is you need to call up Fairshake and say, hey, listen, we donated $50 million to your partisan operation. Prove us wrong and call up John Deaton and at least give him the same that you gave Adam Schiff, who is a Democrat who had zero chance of losing in the primary, and do him a solid and give him at least. Now, nobody's reached out to John Deaton from Fairshake, and I find that this is a catastrophe. Now, if you're not going to back the one man who, if anyone can win, it's John Deaton to go take that seat. He'll do it with or without you, but it would be nice to have the support to be able to support him fully with a donation. And if you don't want to give 10 million and you want to really build him up in the actual head-to-head race come November, fine. But at least reach out to the man. Reach out, say, hey, listen, here's our plan. You know, you win the primary. He's got to win the primary. And meanwhile, his primary opponent, Ian Kane, has been calling him out left and right. Let's have a debate. Let's do this. Let's do that. So he's been very aggressive with it. So listen, you have to be able to run ads. You have to be able to do appearances. There's a lot that goes into running a campaign. It's incredibly stressful. And that money helps. You know, I just donated yesterday because I wanted to see this man succeed. You know, he's trying to hit his goal. I'm going to go ahead and share the link here with you guys. But listen, if you're going to give to Fairshake and you give him $50 million, you best go ahead and Elizabeth Warren is the most well-known, not only here in the U.S. If you ask any senator who's the anti-crypto person in the U.S., they're going to tell you two people, Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren. They know it worldwide. They're household names, and you're not backing the man that's going to take out Elizabeth Warren. Sorry, man. We need to continue to call you out. You guys need to continue to hammer at Fairshake on Twitter or X, I should say, because this has got to stop. They got to dig in that war chest and start. And they're giving it to like no-name candidates in Wisconsin, Jeff. There's some no-name these nobody candidates that aren't running against anybody anti-crypto like Elizabeth Warren.
Yeah, so it's amazing to see who gave to who's donated to Fairshake. You know, so this is the 23-24 cycle. And they've given to Fairshake PAC donors. So you see some
Andreessen Horowitz,
big numbers: 7 million, Coinbase 15 million, Ripple Labs 20 million, Jump Crypto. You got some big numbers here. The Winklevoss twins, both total 5 million.
Yeah, just so you guys know. So so if you're not familiar
Ryan
with
Armstrong, $1 million on his own.
A super PAC, what they call a super PAC, but it's PAC stands for Political Action Committee. And what you have a limit that you can donate personally. So personally, you can only donate. I think I saw something where on the 3,300 or something like that. There's a personal donation you can max out as, but as a political action committee, you can donate again. So Sheldon and Alderson, and what is his name? Sheldon, you know the guy. He's the.
Anderson.
Is it Anderson or Alderson?
Anderson or whatever.
So his widow said that she was going to spend $100 million to back Trump, right? And they'll do it through a super PAC because Sheldon was a very big supporter.
Sheldon, you're talking about Sheldon, yeah.
Sheldon Alderson. What's his name? How do you pronounce his last name? Alderson.
Somebody else. Adelson.
Adelson.
Talking about Adelson.
Yeah. So he passed away, and his widow is picking it up, and she's going to donate $100 million, but she can't donate $100 million directly. So they set up a super PAC. So these super PACs are where companies like the Winklevoss twins and Ripple Labs, you know, given $50 million, you know, 25 last year, 25 this year. This is what they're going to do. I don't know if they have any influence, but the man who runs this is the former, he worked for Schumer, which is a Democrat who's very, very left. And he also worked for the former governor of Mario Cuomo was it Mario? Not Mario. What was his name? The Cuomo.
The other one.
Yeah, what's his name? I'm thinking of the father.
Mario was the dad.
Yeah, I remember Mario Cuomo. I don't remember what's his.
Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo. No, Andrew Cuomo. Yeah. Mario Cuomo, the father, was a better governor for sure. And then, of course, the brother, who is a former CNN, you know, presenter over there. So that's great. Thank you.
They've raised a lot. Look where they're located. I didn't even know that. Palm City, Florida.
You know that? I did not know that. What I do know is the fact that they do not. If you look at the candidates, we looked at the candidates the other night, but they've got to break it down. But let's get back to this interview. Right. I'm just shocked. Okay, when you have the Ripple party, you know, the proper party, And Brad Garlinghouse gets up on stage and he singled out John Deaton. I'm telling you, man, John Deaton saved the day by representing 76,000 XRP holders. He single-handedly made the point. I don't know that they would have gotten the ruling without John Deaton's intervention. I honestly believe 100% that I don't think it would have turned out that well. And for you to give 25 million to fair shake and not call them up and say, get your asses over to John Deaton and back him. Give him 10 million now and give him 40 or 50 million in the regular race. I just don't understand it. It's pathetic to me. And like I want to think that they're a nonpartisan, but all I've seen is partisan. Jeff, 11 million. What was that? What was ratio? 90% to Democrats and 10% Republicans.
So the big problem was, and I can't find it. I'm trying to find it. The big part of was that they had given over $10 million to Shifty Schiff to take on what's her name?
Nobody knows because nobody cares. She had a guy who's been in the house since 2001 is going to lose to a newly arrival, and only because she was Elizabeth Warren's former student. She's nobody. Nobody even knows her name. She's got zero recognition. Everybody knows who Adam Schiff is.
Right. I don't know why.
And even he's very popular in California. You're not going to take a guy like that out. I mean, granted, he's moving from the House to the Senate. Is it Feinstein's old seat that he's running for, Jeff? I think it is. Is it Dianne Feinstein's old seat?
Running for Senate.
I know, but was it Feinstein's old seat though that opened up?
No, let me see.
So anyway, let's listen in a little bit as you're looking for that.
That's the communist state of California.
Well, that too.
Focused on protecting consumers. We think by getting that right mix, we're really moving the whole agenda forward and catching up with what we've already seen in other economies around the world.
So later today, RFK will be speaking. He's at virtually every event I go to. Meanwhile, you had Trump speaking to the Libertarian National Convention this past weekend in D.C., saying very pro-crypto things. He's become more of the crypto candidate. Meanwhile, you've got Biden apparently softening his stance on crypto. At least that's a perception among those in the sector. It seems like crypto is more a part of the conversation than it's ever been.
This would be the left-leaning media's perception that we basically tore apart and told them, listen, the easy layup, right? The easy one was to kill that SEC rule, right? Was it SEB 120? What was it? What's the
SAB 21? SAB
121 or something like that. Okay, that would have been the easy one, right? Just to kind of say like, okay, we got some. Let's say so 21 out of 180 or whatever voted for it. Okay, we got some demos over it. That would have been the easy one. Now the FIT 21. Yeah, he vetoed it, right? It says we're not going to protect investors. So that tells you that the administration is lockstep with Elizabeth Warren, who's probably quarterback of this. Exactly. And lockstep with Gary Gensler. So if you think they're softening their stand, do not listen to this left-leaning nutjob liberal media. And it was so funny. As soon as Trump made those things, you want to vote, you want to have crypto, you want to hold your own keys, you want to have your own custody, vote for Trump. All of a sudden, they came out of the woodwork that Biden sources are telling us that Biden's softening his stance. Now, it's the smart thing to do if you're the Biden administration. The smart thing to do is say like, we've kind of rethought this. We started reaching out. We're kind of changing our minds on this. We see how important of an issue this is, but no, the easy one was that pathetic rule of the SEC. You just kill that. You had some, we had some people in our party that voted for it. Now the FIT 21, Jeff, that's going to be the big tell. Now if that goes through, there's going to be happy days again. And if the Biden administration would want to get a win here, that's the one to sort of jump on. I think personally, that's my thought.
Well, there's a couple things that they're trying to stack the deck on. I would say that one, with the fact that he vetoed it, puts him in a really bad spot, puts them all in a bad spot. The FIT 21, if somehow that gets through and he passes it, that'll garner a little bit of support. And they're also stacking the deck right now on any type of outcome over in what's going on over in the Middle East right now too. So they're trying to pull some wins from their perspective, whether it's crypto related or over there before the election. They're trying to do anything they can, but crushing the SAB 121 to your point, was strictly, and I don't know, I can't find verbiage on it, but it was strictly to appease Elizabeth Warren. Has her fingerprints all over it, and Gary Gensler's fingerprints all over it.
And you know what, Jeff?
That outcome.
And you know what's funny about that? So I saw Ellie Tarrant tweeted out that the ABA, the American Bankers Association, reached out personally via letter. They put the letter there and told Biden not to veto it. But now that's an interesting strategy when you know it's going to get vetoed. This is what we've talked about before. You said, well, we were all for it. I mean, we don't know why he vetoed it. We even wrote a letter to him telling him not to veto it. You know, these are clever little tricks you can play, and if you fall for them, great. But listen, they were behind this 100%. Then the thing to do in a public relations forum is to put out a letter that says, we really please hope this is going to be very important. Well, no, I mean, they were behind the whole thing with Elizabeth Warren. So it's a bunch of, look at this, Jeff. Charles says Dallas Mavericks new majority owner donating $100 million to Trump's super PAC. By the way, that's Mark Cuban's. He was formerly the majority owner, but I think he sold it. I think that's right. I'm thinking that. And then Alex says, wouldn't it be a conflict of interest to donate to someone involved in an active case? It's a very good question. Yes. There you go. It would be yes and no. I mean, the super PAC, they don't have the ability to tell the super PAC what to do, but they can donate to the super PAC. So if they were donating directly, it might be a little bit. Yeah, there it is right there. See, it's PAC money, not directly from Ripple. Exactly.
Right.
It's a very good question, though. Yep. Point proven. I'll take that as a question. Let's see. All right, let's listen a little bit.
Before in this presidential election cycle, any thoughts on that dynamic?
I mean, it's a magical time to be alive as part of my reaction to that. You know, 10 years ago when I first really got deeply involved in crypto, I couldn't have predicted kind of what we're seeing today. But it's also, I feel like, the inevitable march of progress. These technologies can improve so many ways in which transactions are settled. More transparency, more, faster, cheaper. And so to me, it's that forward progress. The fact that we have what should have been a bipartisan, broadly supported technology, somehow it became partisan. I really attribute that Elizabeth Warren in particular kind of stood out and spoke, I think, misinformation and saying like, well, everybody doing crypto is doing bad things. And just nothing can be further from the truth. There's so many examples even here at this conference of incredible entrepreneurs building incredible tools that can improve the efficiency of how financial transactions work. And look, some of our financial system was developed 50, 60 years ago. It's time to bring it into the internet age for the benefit of consumers, for the benefit of businesses. And to fight that progression, that inevitable march of progression, to fight that, I think is just silly. So
this is what's funny, Jeff. Okay, so like I'm just holding back over here, but here's what's really funny. She asked him a very specific question. Now, RFK Jr. is speaking today. Okay, he's very pro crypto. He says put everything about government on the blockchain so it's open, available, and everyone can see it. I agree with him on that. Right? Yep. He does make a lot of good points. I mean, most of his stance, 90% of what he believes is lockstep with Biden, but he does think differently on some topics. And crypto happens to be one. And then Trump came out. She asked him specifically, RFK Jr. and Trump. And what all of the people who lean left, their go-to is there's so much positive things going on, and it's so much in the progression and this and that. And it's just, hey, he could have acknowledged it and said, you know what, RFK Jr. and Trump are on the right side of history. Like he could have said that, but he just rolled it into, she's talking softening. Well, this was before the veto came out, by the way. I believe this interview happened Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So it was prior to that. What are your thoughts, Jeff, on this?
I'm looking at some of the comments that are going here on the side conversation, and I can say some question whether or not Alex is actually from 8th grade. And I just want to say, the questions are very astute, and going from 8th to 9th grade, and I know just from being with my son and his friends, in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And seeing some of the questions that they ask, when they get into it, and seeing the types of videos that they watch, and looking into investment and just learning, it's pretty astonishing. I would think that there's probably a lot of kids out there that don't hold interest and aren't focused, but There's kids out there that are very astute. They know what's going on. They understand voting. They're hopefully learning some of this in school as well. Hopefully at home, they're picking up a lot on voting, and that's being reinforced at home, and asking the right types of questions, which is really outstanding. So
yeah, it really is.
I'm happy, to see, that type of questioning, and I think it's really important.
Isn't your son going into 9th grade though?
Now going into 10th.
10th grade, so he's roughly about the same age.
Yeah,
so
coming out of 9th, but I'm just thinking back, like, a year ago, some of the questions, but I can remember, and asking questions and just being able to stand front and center when he was in 5th grade. I brought him to the Comic-Con in Miami, and so he was 10 years old, and I entered him into a Rocket League competition. So I don't know, there were 30 or 40 people, adults, kids, mixed, and he ended up coming in 2nd place. He could have won first, but the guy he competed against was 30 years old, and his friend, who was 10.
If you get beat by a 10-year-old, that's embarrassing, Jeff.
So his friend was sitting next to him watching the whole thing, was just ragging on this guy the whole time. He goes, "How's it feel that you're losing to a 10-year-old?" He goes, "You suck. This is bad. You can't even play, can you? I can't even believe you're 30 years old and you're sitting here, playing against a 10-year-old, and you can barely." And at first it was like, it's a even game. And then finally the guy finally picked up some steam and ended up winning. He was actually really, really good. But then at the time, my son in 5th grade, 10 years old, was also amazingly, was very, very good as well. But just seeing the two of them out there going out, they had no qualms about, talking shit, talking smack, with a 30-year-old that they're playing against.
You share my little sister, but also too, it's good parenting as well. He's got a great dad, and let's give it. And he's listening too. That's the other big thing too. Is like, it's really fantastic that and you also have an interest in it, which is really good. Damn cool story, Jeff. There you go.
Right.
So let's listen to the rest of this. We're probably run out of time before we get to this rest of this. Is a long interview. I didn't realize it was so long. But the worst thing about being there is, like, you're sitting right in the middle of consensus. You know how loud it is, and you can hear Brad's like
really
yelling a little bit. It's like there's people walking by. Just do it in a studio, like off to the side or in a side room. Like, we don't need to see people in the background. It's like very, very hard to focus when you're in a setting like that.
Yep.
I do think seeing it become a presidential topic, isn't that surprising to me? There's a lot of passion. I'm sure you felt it here as well. There's a lot of passionate people about this industry, and they will vote their mind. And I think that's important.
Well, and there are a lot of polls that are indicating just that crypto is increasingly an issue that they care about. Voters in swing states are expressing more of an interest in the digital asset sector than before. We're also seeing a lot of pro-crypto legislation find its way.
Hang on a second. I'm not liking the tone of these questions. No. Voters in swing states in particular are gaining interest in crypto. That's such a stupid, slanted question. Only voters in swing states. Voters around the country
trying to signal that, hey, pay attention, Dems.
Voters around the country are more focused on crypto. Crypto is a big issue for many people around the country because X percentage of people in the U.S. right now are holding or investing in crypto. So that probably will have an impact on the swing states. Put it the right way. Try to make it seem like, the swing states. This is from the swing.
The swing states.
The swing state. The swing state is whatever you want to make it be. This is the area.
I was trying to explain to somebody today that they're like,
look at that.
They're talking about election. I said, look, well, there's a lot of weird oddities of the last 2020 election where you had 18 of 19 bellwether states that were won but lost. You had the man that went the resident in the White House who basically most lost a ton of seats, but yet, like, that's never happened in 100 years. Like, there were so many anomalies. You're like, okay, so some stuff was weird. And then I saw, he did a presser the other day, and he was like a gym that was not even half filled. I'm like, come on, man. It's just, you got to see what's coming. And crypto is their opportunity to sort of even it a little bit, right? That is their opportunity to change their whole stance on it. I don't think they can. But if the Biden administration wanted to go ahead and make some inroads and do it fast, The first step would be passing Fit 21. Like, hey, listen, we're thinking about this differently. They can still try to piece, but what do you have? I mean, are you going to lose donors? I mean, what is at stake here? You're going to lose an election if you don't realize that 20 to 30% of people, this is a huge issue. You just saw it right here. Alchemist said it's his main issue. Yeah, exactly. Right. Well done. Yeah, Caroline's like, well done, Alex. You're the top 1% for showing up in the space. You keep going.
Right.
Yeah, I love to see somebody like Alex who is just, just on a really good trajectory, man, to just be able to crush it in life.
And Chip, we have 360 watching right now between X, YouTube, and that's it. X and YouTube. I got to count. Our one viewer over on Twitch didn't show up today.
That's okay. We're okay with that. I'm okay with that, Jeff.
Weeks ago, Fit 21 passing the House last week, seeing more Democratic support for these laws, stablecoin legislation. People are more bullish on that than they have been in past years. But do we see these things get to the finish line, signed into law by the end of the year? How optimistic are you?
If you're asking me whether they get signed into law before the end of the year, I'm probably a little bit skeptical that it happens before the election. As we all have seen, the wheels of legislative progress move slowly and carefully. So I'm thrilled by the progress that we made in the last.
The wheels of progress are moving really fast. Earlier in the interview, they were moving like crazy.
3 weeks, and I think it may have been the most important 2 or 3 weeks in the U.S. crypto evolution ever. But I still think getting the legislation passed may require, after the election.
And geez, who's going to be the stopper in that, Brad? Just out of curiosity, who's the one that's going to be the anti? Are we just going to we hope, we wish? We know exactly who the anti-crypto party is.
Yeah, he knows, but that's why he's saying it's going to happen after the election. It's not going to happen before the election.
January of 25, February of 25. It's not like the election happens and it's over. I mean, come on there.
Yep. Maybe before the end of the year, more likely the first half of next year. But again, I view this as very, very positive because the winds have changed in how the U.S. government is looking at this. And we haven't yet seen explicit decisions from the Biden administration, but you have seen, as you described earlier, a softening of some of the rhetoric coming out of this administration. And I think driven by the fact that people understand this is a topic people care deeply about. And frankly, the fact that it's become a little bit partisan. And in a very tight election, this could be a deciding factor.
Yep. To that point, Chip, I mean, you think about, he's focused on, are they softening? No, they're not. You don't hear Elizabeth Warren as vitriol as before. They told her to tone it down. One, because of her own election. Two, because it is a critical, and they probably didn't think about it before, but it has turned into a major election issue. Just because they're toning it down doesn't mean they're softening on it. Doesn't mean they still, want to undermine it, any less. It just means they're toning down the rhetoric because they're trying to redirect and they want to, or they don't want to have too much of a reason for many of their base voters to not vote for them and to vote for somebody else, so they have a base voter and that person is heavily supportive of crypto and that's their financial trajectory and that's what they're investing in and that's what they're building in and that's going to impact their future. Well, you're not going to vote for the person that wants to undermine your future. All right. And it doesn't matter what other issues, but if you see a person up there says, I'm going to, like Gary Gensler and Elizabeth Warren, that keep saying that cryptocurrency is only used for a nefarious purpose and we're going to end it. And you're like, well, that's my entire life. That's my existence. You know what? You're out. I'm not voting for you. And so, but if they soften their stance and they stop talking about it, then many of these people are like, oh, I don't know. I don't know where they stand. And then all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, we just saw some legislation. It was bipartisan and only
21 people voting for it out of 182. Right. That's not what I would call bipartisan. And every time we get 100% of one party, sounds like the bills that passed in the 60s, Jeff. If you remember the Civil Rights Bill was the same thing. It was like all Republicans and no, well, it was like bipartisan where a couple Democrats voted for it. My God.
You go back and look at that voting record as well. I think too many people have forgotten about it.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And that's why you have to do your homework. You just can't take talking points off a podcast or the TV, the mainstream media, but I mean, you got to do some work.
Look at this
Winds
interview.
of change. There you go, right there.
Look at it. Look how they inject it into their very questioning. You know, when she started talking about swing states, why even bring up swing states? You know, why not phrase it a different way?
It doesn't have to be the third political party because it's the one political party. It's the right party. It's the party of the right. We're right. They're wrong. That's it. They're the party of the left.
Crypto's king.
Crypto's king, you know, and they said, well, and I saw people out there like, well, Trump didn't really say. I'm like, he said it. He said that you endorse crypto. And people are like, well, he was anti-Bitcoin. Imagine if Trump in 2019 came out and said, Bitcoin is the greatest thing in the entire world. What do you think would have happened to Bitcoin? How do you think it would have gone for Bitcoin? People are like, well, Trump was big on the vaccines and he was pushing the warp speed. Yeah, but when Trump came out and said he was taking HCQ, they basically put spears in his throat and said, you know, and when he came out and talked about ivermectin, they said, oh my God, you can't talk about this. And so he did give you a choice, and the lockdowns were supposed to be for years. And it happened a lot sooner that you had a choice. You had a choice to make. And if you thought it was the best thing for you, you went and got it. If you didn't think so, you didn't. That's pretty simple. Look at Charles with the massive support here. Appreciate that, Charles. How long does the Senate have through FIT 21? That's a good thing. That's what I was wondering too, because they could table it, quite honestly. They don't have to bring it to a vote, I don't believe. I think they can just, this has happened many times where something passed in the House and it just never got any attention in the Senate. And if you're the Biden administration and you don't want to take a big loss on this, it's a good strategy to just never get it out of there. It just never put it up for a floor vote, right? So because then you got people on the record in a very troubled election where crypto is on the ballot, and now you don't have any exposure of any senators saying that they're against it. So chances are this doesn't see the light of day until after the election either. So it might get picked up later, or they make a bunch of changes and amendments, and then it ends up back at the House, and it ends up in a circle. The fact that it's not getting any attention in the Senate, I mean, they're not in session right now. How long, Jeff, are they out of session? I think they're out of session right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but it could take some time. As I'm just looking up and seeing what type of legal discussion has been on. It says the Senate schedule will impede action on the FIT 21. The congressional schedule is lighter this year because of Republican National Convention in mid-July. The Senate is out of session next week for Memorial Day. When the Senate returns, it will be in session for 42 days before the election. When the Senate returns after the election, it'll be in session for roughly 5 weeks. So and I'm not sharing it, but if I come here, this is an attorney that wrote this. He's saying the chances of it becoming law are low. Senate opposition is another obstacle. The Senate's recent vote disapproving the SEC staff accounting, SAB 21, is not indicative of the vote for that. Yesterday talks about this and just said it's probably there's a low probability that that's what's going to happen. He said Democrat support for FIT 21 was more robust than expected. 71 Democrats voted yes, which exceeded the estimates of 30 to 50. Yes, so they expected probably low, but now that it goes to the Senate, there could be a lot of politics again that are being played right now, because you can have somebody coming out of Congress said, hey, for a crypto perspective, hey, I voted for it. Let's say they haven't voted for anything else, but they know that for their congressional election, which they're up for election right now, all of them, every single House representative is up for election. They could cut, and so these guys could look and said, based on the district they're in, maybe there's heavy crypto, or maybe people have approached them on crypto. You'd have to look at them one by one because there are many that are pro crypto. You take like a Richie Torres, he's pro crypto. And so there's going to be quite a few that are pro crypto that have a history of being pro crypto. And so you can say, yes, they voted for that purpose. From when you get to the Senate, I don't know how many there are. And just like this Baker Hostetler, I don't know who wrote it. Kevin Edgar, wrote it, so he's saying that there might not even be time at this point for them to even see it. So it's sent there and maybe it doesn't happen before the election, to what exactly, Brad Garlinghouse is also saying that, the chance that it actually becomes legislation or gets even introduced, probably really low at this point. And it takes time. All this stuff takes a lot of time.
Yeah, Scotty says the U.S. Senate candidate John Deaton defended XRP holders in court. Now he needs your help to defeat the beast in the East. That's Elizabeth Warren. That's absolutely 100% on, Scotty. Also, too, I made a donation because here he is right here. And the cool thing is you can also donate fiat currency, or you can donate via crypto. Yeah. But again, look, donate what you can afford. If you believe in John Deaton, if you believe in what John Deaton's been doing, and not only the ecosystem, what he can do in Washington with sensible policies, and get rid of this grifter, Elizabeth Warren, who's anti-innovation, anti-crypto, almost everything. All she does is rail on businesses and people, and she does little to nothing. She's just another grifter in Washington who represents, somebody else's interests, not the good people of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. So I went ahead and put in the link there. That's JohnDeatonForSenate.com, John Deaton for Senate. But again, you can go click this donate button here. You can go to crypto. Crypto takes you over here to, I believe it's Coinbase. So you can connect your Coinbase wallet, and you can go ahead and donate via crypto, or you can donate here, regular donate here. And here's your, but there it is right there. Elizabeth Warren promised she'd be a champion for those in need. Instead, she gives lectures, plays politics, gets nothing done for Massachusetts. Tell Washington insiders enough's enough. Donate today. You can, there's the max right there, 6,600, but $25 if you can do it. If you can do $5, listen, don't think that $5 doesn't make a difference. Everything makes a difference. So if everybody could pitch in a little bit, if you believe in John Deaton, if you believe in who he is, and you believe that he can make a difference in Washington, how amazing would it be to have Senator John Deaton writing bills and making stuff happen and being proactive, right? So that's what's on the ballot. I urge everybody to make a donation, what you can afford. Look, if it's only $10, then give $10. If you can also check a box too that says make it a monthly gift. So you want to do $10 a month, do $10 a month, right? It'll take $10 a month, whatever you can afford. If you feel like you pop down 25 or 50, but let's help him meet his goal. Let's help him get there. But this is a guy who, has been a great champion, not only of XRP, but a great champion in the space, a fighter, a winner. He's a proven winner. But that's my pitch, guys. And I urge you to help him. Let's help him get over that hump and get that fundraising goal. Jeff, anything before we get out of here?
That's awesome. Let's double down on, John Deaton definitely needs that help. If John Deaton unseats Elizabeth Warren, that will have major ramification, across the board for the crypto space. And that is, that I think is probably, a very valid reason for people to pay attention and get involved and help support. It would be having a debate. Having a debate would be unbelievable, and he would probably decimate. He would be so amazing in a debate, just all out, just let it go.
Former federal prosecutor, I wouldn't want to go up against him in a debate. Just saying, the guy's won a ton of cases. He's always fought for the underdog, and this is no different. Yeah. If you read his book too, you'll see all he's had to overcome. Most people just quit, and what this man's gone on to achieve is nothing less, amazing. Short of amazing and remarkable. So that's all the time we have, guys. Really appreciate you joining us. We will see you guys on Wednesday night, and we look forward. We're going to have a guest joining us in the next week and a half or two, but somebody you're not going to want to miss. It's going to be a good guest to come in on the space. So, guys, anything you want to say, Jeff, before we get out of here?
No, I said it.
Say it again, Jeff. Say it again.
Say it again.
Say it again.
Start from the beginning. Welcome.
Rewind.
On the chain.
Welcome on the chain, everybody. Drop where you're coming in from. Okay, that's it.
Drop where you're coming in from. We'll look forward to seeing you guys Wednesday evening, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's what we got. That's what you got.
See you on the next one, guys.
And good night.
Thank you.
And good night.
Are you down with OTC? Please like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when the next video drops.